dead forest in the Krasnoyarsk Krai. Hectares of fir trees in one season have been damaged by the bark beetle Dentrolimus sibiricus. The specialists of All Russian Plant Quarantine Center assist in stating the real reason, in identifying the pest and designing measures to control it. The story of the USSR Quarantine Service is the story of All Russian Plant Quarantine Center, one of the most important Rossellkosnadzor research institutes. The scientists have been carrying out the laboratory research, standard development, and pest surveys for about a century. Today, it is the central institute in the Moscow region and 21 branches around Russia with over 1,100 specialists. Plant pests are controlled around the territory from the wet Kuril Islands, the forests of Siberia, to the gardens of the Kuban, the steppes of Kalmykia, and the Caucasian mountains. Every branch has a well-equipped phytosanitary laboratory and stationary places in remote towns, inspection points at the border, and in storage facilities as well as airports and seaports.
The mission of the center is, first of all, assisting in scientific methodological activities of Rossellkosnadzor. Therefore, 4 scientific centers have been created: Irkutsk in the Crimea, Pyatigorsk, Voronezh, and naturally, the main base is in Bukovo. They allow to carry out high-level training of specialists of Rossellkosnadzor laboratories and reference centers of our service.
Behind every door of the research center, there are entomologists, phytopathologists, specialists in forest quarantine, synthesis and use of pheromones, biomethod, regulated article study, grain quality, and safety assessment. Today, 182 objects are included in the common list of quarantine objects of the Eurasian Economic Union. For each of them, applied research is conducted and a scientific dossier of 3 documents is done: pest risk analysis, detection and identification of pests, and localization of outbreaks and their control. Colombia, Brazil, Rwanda, Konashir Island, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan. The geography of scientific expeditions of VNIIKR entomologists covers all regions of the world. The Entomological Fund contains 12,000 copies of quarantine and other insect species. Live specimens are also studied. The Department of Forest Quarantine maintains a living culture of the coniferous pest Bursophalenchus mucronatus. This helps to study closely related species, the dangerous pinewood nematode. After all, if found in Russia, this microscopic parasite, Bursophalenchus xylophilus, could cause damage to the state estimated at 30 billion rubles annually, which is comparable to an annual budget of a Russian region. The heart of the institute is 7 research laboratories of the Expert Testing Center. Every day, hundreds of tests are carried out in branches, 1.5 million tests a year. Studying samples, specialists refer to EPPO, diagnostic standards, as well as use their own unique developments. Over 30 detection and identification methods are used, including immunoenzyme, immunofluorescent and molecular ones. Virologists of the center detect 40 viruses with ELISA and identify 80 quarantine and dangerous viruses, viroids, and phytoplasmas with PCR. For example, agents of brown rot of potatoes and bacterial ring rot of potatoes. Automatic station for the isolation of nucleic acids and proteins helps to explore objects of any complexity. Modern microscopes of the Scientific Center allow the identification of insects and nematodes by magnifying objects up to 600 times. And this is a zone of temperature control. In a special refrigerator at -80 degrees, there is a collection of quarantine and closely related viruses and plant bacteria. Among them, the causative agent of bacterial leaf rot of cucurbitaceous cultures, which is absent in the territory of Russia. Samples of this storage, as well as collections, insects, weeds, nematodes and fungi in the Scientific Center are used as standard samples in laboratory studies, arbitration examinations and interlaboratory test trials. All Russian Plant Quarantine Center is changing with the current demands and tendencies. The Research and Testing Department has been organized where the DNA of grape phytoplasma, the molecular genetic methods of identification of mites and weeds, are studied. In 2017, a new laboratory was created, Diagnostics of Genetically Modified Organisms, GMOs, in the seed and plants for planting. A collection of viruses, phytoplasmas and fungi is created on the base of cell-plant engineering. Even now, all Russian Plant Quarantine Center offers developments which have no analogues in the world. More than 40 kinds of pheromones for monitoring and controlling insects have been synthesized in the pheromone department, including oriental fruit moth, longhorn beetles of the genus Monocamus, and new developments, European grapevine moth and peach twig borer. Each pheromone undergoes 3-year laboratory and field tests on the territory of Russia and abroad. The Biomethod Department is now a technological complex producing entomophagous insects. There are 8 laboratory populations. In one refrigerator, you can collect eggs of a carnivorous species of shield bug, Picromerus bidens, to control Colorado beetle in the Moscow region. Every year, according to the methods of VNIIKR specialists, several million tons of regulated articles, in particular grain, are disinfected in Russia. Specialists of the center develop technologies and modes of fumigation with phosphine preparations and other medications permitted in Russia, which are used by fumigation specialists. Now, environmentally friendly preparations and methods are being created here on the basis of extracts of vegetable oils and neutral gases. VNIIKR acts as an expert arbitration organization of Russia in the field of plant quarantine. The VNIIKR Technical Committee registers the developed methodological materials as national and international standards. In 2017, VNIIKR opened a postgraduate course. Ongoing work is being carried out to create a professional human resource reserve. A unique educational project on pests, VNIIKR Quarantine Pests, was launched. All Russian Plant Quarantine Center cooperates with 14 Russian and international research and production institutions. It participates in 5 projects of UFRESCO, the network for coordinating scientific research on plant quarantine in Europe. VNIIKR experts take part in 10 EPPO panels. The experience and scientific potential of the center protects the territory of Russia from introduction and spread of pests and preserves its resources. In practice, these are billions of rubles saved for the state and agrarians, the growth of the country's export potential. All Russian Plant Quarantine Center. We work with nature for the good of the country, the world, and people.